Well, hello there. Welcome back to another video. Been a while. I'd love to blame the quarantine, but let's be completely honest with ourselves. I sucked at regularly uploading long before coronavirus. As you can imagine, there hasn't been a whole lot in the way of people inviting me to drive cool cars in the last couple months. Fair enough, I might sneeze on it. But I have taken this opportunity of lockdown to put a bit of time and money into my own car. So what I'd like to do is just talk you through a couple of the key changes I've made. The main one being that I've lowered it. But first, cue awesome montage of my car driving that I need to go film after this. Let's go film that. Gonna need a montage. Right, car. For those of you that don't know, this is my 2005 Mark V Golf GTI. I've had this car for about 2 years now. I bought it for £2,800 and to date it's done a good 115,000 miles. As I mentioned, the most interesting thing that's happened with this car recently is I had it lowered not too long ago and I went the cheap and easy route of lowering springs. Bit of backstory here. I took my car in for an MOT and I found out that one of the springs had actually cracked. Got a quote for a replacement OEM VW spring and it was obscenely expensive. It was so expensive that to buy a full set of performance lowering springs was barely more money. So I thought, why not? I was really nervous about doing this because it's a 115,000 mile set of shocks and taking 3 centimeters out of the suspension travel is possibly asking for trouble. On many occasions, I've said that the suspension on this car is a particular highlight, so it would kind of be ironic if I single-handedly ruined that. But I thought, hey, it needs doing. I can't afford coilovers, and you know what? Are you even a true car lover until you've ruined one of your own cars? So the springs went on a couple of weeks ago. I've done a fair few miles on them and I'm pleased to report that I'm really, really happy with the results. First, I want to talk about the ride because like I said, I loved how comfy my car was stock. I was really worried about ruining that. Truth be told, it's definitely a little bit firmer. Of course it is. We've taken 3 centimeters out of the suspension travel. You can feel the road surface a little bit more. I definitely need to be quite careful on speed bumps now. But that being said, it's not crashy. The suspension isn't bottoming out on big bumps. It's not miserable on long journeys. It's still a comfortable car. And I'm really relieved about that because that was one of my biggest concerns about doing this. The difference in performance has been, I wouldn't say dramatic. I would say it feels a little bit flatter through the corners, which you would hope, a little bit less body roll. But actually the main difference is the thing I just mentioned, the firmness. It just feels a bit firmer. I can feel the road surface a little bit more, and that makes the whole driving experience a little bit sportier. I feel like I'm gonna get bashed for this in the comments because I have gone on so many times about, ooh, it's the comfy hot hatchback, and now I've gone and lowered it and made it all firm. But I like it. It feels good. It's still a comfortable car, but I'm just a bit more aware of what the road surface is like underneath me, which means that I feel a little bit more confident when I'm really chucking it around. So that's good. But the biggest difference with these lowering springs is the way that this car looks now. It looks so good. The combination of the lowered ride height with my freshly refurbished diamond cut Monza wheels, it just looks the dog's danglies at the moment. So definitely very pleased with the results. I'm happy to report that you don't have to go for coilovers with a high mileage car like this, apparently. As long as your shocks are still in decent condition, you can get away with springs like I have. So there you have it. Consider that my short and sweet review of the K&N 30mm lowering springs for the Mark V GTI. Looks awesome, performing well, pleasantly surprised with the ride comfort. Now, for those of you who are particularly interested in Mark V GTIs and upkeep, I'll just run you through a couple of other slightly boring things that I've had to do in the last couple of months. New set of tires has gone on. I've gone for Goodyear Eagle Asymmetrics, really high quality tire, super grippy. I actually got called out in the comments of my last video for having a terrible Aero Speed ditch finder death tire on one of my wheels, which was bought as like a quick fix for an MOT. Someone saw it in my last video and was like, ugh, arrow speed. So I was shamed into replacing my tyres. And I thank you, sir, for shaming me because, my God, it's better. This is the world's most obvious thing, but if you're driving a car that has mismatched tyres or crap cheap tyres, that should be your first job because it is the quickest and most effective way to transform the way your car drives. The combination of the fresh tyres and the lowered ride height, I just trust this thing so much more. What else? Really boring stuff. The timing chain needed replacing because my engine one morning started idling, making a horrible rattling noise. Those of you who are familiar with these cars will know, they're rattly at the best of times, but it was making a worse noise than that, and I took it in, and it was diagnosed as needing a new timing chain, which was like 350 quid. Ouch. But needed doing. New starter motor, had that done because my car was struggling to turn on the key. Hang on, I'm going to turn that off because it's a horrible rattling noise. But this is the price of owning a 15-year-old performance car. And what's more, I've been very lucky because I've had this car for 2 years and it's barely cost me a penny. I was very fortunate that the previous owner took really good care of it and it really didn't need much other than minor servicing for the first 2 years of ownership. And eventually the time came where I needed to spend a bit of money on it, and I can live with that because I love this car and it makes me very happy, even if it's worth about 50p. Okay, before I go, one more, I wouldn't call it a modification, but I've added something to my car that I'm loving. 1 second. Okay, for this last modification, I need to give thanks to a fellow Golf GTI YouTuber by the name of Himmy, because I was browsing Golf GTI videos on the internet, as I do very often. And I saw this video of his about really cheap interior mods, and there was something on there that blew my tiny mind. One of the things I love about this car is that the interior is just really neat and tidy and spot on. That's a thing that Golfs do well, right? All the buttons are where you'd expect them to be. One thing about it that's always bugged me, the cup holder. Because it's not really a cup holder, it's just a hole where you can fit 2 cups. And what happens is you put your coffee there, you accelerate, it spills everywhere, and it's annoying. And then I saw this video and I found out that originally Mark V Golfs came with a bottle opener, right? And this can live here in this little dedicated gap, or you can use it to separate it into 2 adjustable cup holders. If you don't own a Mark V Golf, that's probably the most boring thing you've ever heard anyone say. But if you own a Mark V Golf and you didn't know about that, your mind just got blown like mine did. So there you have it, just a quick review of those H&R lowering springs and a couple of other little updates regarding my car. I'll be back soon with more interesting videos, I promise. I had some really cool cars lined up before the quarantine happened, and I'm hoping I can still get in touch with those guys and make that happen for you. I'm sure that we will. Oh, one more thing, forgot to mention. For those of you who are long-term subscribers and sick to death of waiting 3 months for me to upload videos, good news, there's a second YouTube channel where I post videos every single week for my job. It's called Electroheads, and it's a channel that celebrates all kinds of electric vehicles, everything from bikes and skateboards and scooters to cars. Go check that out if that sounds like something you'd be interested in. Leave a little comment to let me know that I sent you. Make sure that you like and subscribe. I'm so nearly at 10,000 subscribers. I don't deserve them because I post like 2 videos a year, but it would be amazing to hit 10K. So help me make that happen, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.